Welcome to this explainer. Let's dive right in. I want you to picture a really high-stakes scenario. Maybe it's a tense boardroom negotiation, a critical strategy meeting, or even a salary review where literally everything is on the line. The heavy glass door is open, and a masterful leader steps into the room. Let's call her the quiet leader. She sits down, she observes, and almost instantly, she spots a fundamental flaw playing out right in front of her. It's a flaw in how almost everyone else is choosing to communicate. It's frantic, right? It's loud. But she sees right through it, because she understands the deep psychology behind the source material we're exploring today, the sovereign weight of silence. She knows for a fact that true power in this room isn't going to be won by the loudest voice. The truth is, most people simply talk way too much. In that high-stakes room, our quiet leader watches people fall face first into this incredibly human trap. You know the feeling. Just to fill that nervous, heavy air, people over-explain their positions. They argue these tiny, trivial details that don't really matter. They accidentally reveal their bottom line without even meaning to. And the absolute tragedy here is that without realizing it, they are actively giving away their power. Think about the last time you rambled in an interview just to fill an awkward pause. Agonizing, right? The silence stretches for maybe 2 seconds, your brain totally panics, and suddenly you're volunteering information no one even asked for. You definitely weren't gaming ground there. You were actively surrendering it. Now, across the table sits the exact opposite of our protagonist. Let's call them the overtalker. Picture them just vibrating with this frantic energy, practically hyperventilating as they try to fill every single second of dead air with their own voice. Because of all that frantic output, they become completely predictable. They're totally exposed, and honestly, they look weak. They're handing over leverage with every unnecessary sentence. But on the other side of the table, our quiet leader is grounded. She's unshakable. She just sits back, calm, strong, and completely in control. She holds the power in that room simply because she knows that every unnecessary word accidentally forfeits a piece of it. Section 1, Robert Greene's fourth law, the strategy of saying less. The absolute core rule our leader lives by is remarkably simple. Always say less than necessary. This comes directly from Robert Greene's fourth law of power, and honestly, it's a total masterclass in psychological leverage. Brilliant strategists and monarchs throughout history have used this to absolutely devastating effect. Take King Louis XIV. He used to terrify his entire court by responding to these frantic pleas and elaborate proposals with just 3 simple words. He'd say, "I shall see," and then he'd just walk away. Talk about a power move. When you consciously choose to clip your sentences short, you stop giving the other side the roadmap to your brain. You force them to guess. And the exact moment they're guessing, you are the one leading the dance. It all really comes down to a brutal, simple equation. Predictable equals controllable. If your counterpart can easily predict your reactions, mostly because you've eagerly overshared every little detail of your thought process, they can seamlessly manipulate the whole interaction. The more you speak, the more you shrink your own options. You literally box yourself in with your own words. While our quiet leader knows this intimately, she utterly refuses to hand over the remote control to her own behavior by babbling her strategy away. By staying silent, she remains an unknown variable. And unknown variables? You can't control them. Section 2, authority through intentional silence, or the power of the pause. Let's watch our quiet leader in action for a second. When someone challenges her on a key point, she doesn't rush to defend herself. She doesn't leap into this defensive tirade. Instead, she uses a deliberate, heavy pause. See, true authority isn't about volume or speed. Psychologically speaking, humans actually perceive slow, deliberate speech and a supreme comfort with silence as primary indicators of high status. Truly powerful people rarely rush. They choose their words with absolute surgical precision, and sometimes they choose to say almost nothing at all. That rare ability to comfortably and confidently hold space without uttering a single sound, that is exactly where true authority is forged. Just to be totally clear, this strategy doesn't mean acting cold or aloof or antisocial. It is entirely about understanding value. Think of your words like a rare currency. When you speak sparingly, your words carry massive weight and profound impact. When our quiet leader finally does speak, the entire room practically leans in to listen because their input is absolutely scarce. On the flip side, when you just keep talking, you create this sort of verbal inflation. Your endless words begin to lose their impact and value, basically drowning out your own message. It's just basic supply and demand, flawlessly applied to human communication. Section 3, the uncomfortable gap and weaponizing the silence. So let's look directly at the opponent sitting across the table. Why is silence such an incredibly effective weapon against them? Well, it triggers this brutal four-step psychological loop. Step 1, the opponent feels intense discomfort. Humans absolutely hate dead air. Our brains are literally wired to perceive it as a form of social rejection. Step 2, to relieve that agonizing pressure, they start filling the gaps themselves. Step 3, they begin to overthink. They start projecting their own insecurities into the quiet leader's silence, assuming she knows something they don't. And finally, step 4, in their frantic effort to keep the conversation alive, they over-reveal. They are quite literally negotiating against themselves while our leader simply sits there, reaping all the rewards of their panic.
So many people are absolutely terrified of silence, so they talk desperately, trying to impress or placate the room. But the longer they talk, the weaker they become. Seriously, listen to what slips out in the panic: insecurity, unchecked emotion, anger, desperation. The overtalker believes they're dominating the room by monopolizing all the airtime. They mistakenly think volume equals victory. But in reality, they're just broadcasting their deepest, most guarded vulnerabilities for everyone else to exploit. They are basically handing over the keys to their own defeat simply because they couldn't just sit quietly for 5 seconds.
Section 4. True confidence needs no words, the ultimate advantage. Let's bring this all back to you. How can you actually adopt our quiet leader's mindset starting today? Look, even in a heated argument, the person who talks less almost always emerges with the upper hand because true confidence simply doesn't need constant explanation. So before you open your mouth in your next meeting, or a tough negotiation, or even just a personal argument, I really want you to pause and ask yourself this absolutely crucial question. Does saying this give me a strategic advantage, or is it just temporary emotional relief? Are you actually speaking to win, or are you just trying to soothe your own discomfort with the silence? Because remember this final, undeniable truth from our explainer today. Sometimes the absolute most powerful sentence is the one you never say.